As always, good news and bad news on the fantasy front. So, good news is that the Incal by Alejandro Jodorowsky will be made, apparently by Taika Waititi. Also, good news that the Batman is coming from Matt Reeves, but we're going to have some ideas that perhaps improve on what he's trying to do. So, let's get to Batman first. So, there are several ideas I think we can go with. Apparently, this version of Batman is kind of a Batman Begins year one kind of thing. I myself would prefer Batman at mid-career, and here are some speculations about where they could have gone with this, because I'm not too impressed with the Matt Reeves version, but we'll see. So one of the favorite storylines by Batman fans is the Hush storyline, where essentially we learn that this character, Thomas Elliot, was a much more vital part of Bruce's life. But one way of improving this is by tying the story to Kane, or the Batwoman storyline, and perhaps adding an element of kidnapping and tying that to the Hush story. Now, Hush itself is a pretty great story. I think it's very well done. It's very well illustrated. Jim Lee did the pencils, but how to translate it, I'm not sure. I think for Batwoman, we want Wallace Day, who I think is a very beautiful and talented actress, and have Batman and Batwoman work on a case together. But again, it seems Matt Reeves wants to do a very, very basic story just beginning, where Batman has just barely gotten any training and is sort of thrust into a first major case. Now, for myself, I'd prefer if they kind of adapted the Nightfall storyline, and along with the Batwoman idea, that they add more of the Batman cast, like Robin or Nightwing. In the original Nightfall storyline, essentially what happens is he confronts Bane, Bane disables him, and a new Batman has to take over. Again, as a film trilogy, I don't think this is too hard. Have in the first film, Batman become aware of Bane, become tired. In the second one, Bane confronts him, he breaks his back, the new Batman begins, but he still is a little bit rough. And in the third film, he either teams up with Batwoman and or the Huntress and confronts Bane. But again, a lot of people didn't go with the new Batman when it was done in the 1990s. I actually liked it. That was an interesting idea. So those are some ideas to improve the Batman. But now let's turn to the Incal, which is a truly strange idea by Alejandro. Essentially, the Incal is a quartet of graphic novels which follows the misadventures of an anti-hero who is called D-Fool. And D-Fool is searching out the Incal, which is apparently this object of immense power. And along the way, he confronts various mercenaries, prostitutes. It's a lot of self-loathing. He's a very reluctant hero. And Taika Waititi has been tapped to do this. I mean, I can definitely see it. Taika has done a lot of good work in terms of mixing drama and comedy. I really didn't like what he did with Thor Ragnarok. I really don't like that film almost at all. But I did find it a little bit better done with Jojo Rabbit, which is mixing a kind of very black humor, but with a lot of optimism and hope. And apparently he's a big fan of the books, so this is probably the safest hands. I will say, though, that Jodorowsky has often been misunderstood. I did a video where I criticized the YouTuber for perhaps being a little disrespectful. Some people alerted me that this YouTuber, Quinn, is actually a big fan of the Incal, so he doesn't hate Jodorowsky. I still stand by that video. I think the video he did on Jodorowsky and Dune was very deceptive and very disrespectful. But if he likes the Incal, that's fine. Again, it's okay to dislike Alejandro. I just don't think he represented him correctly. He made it seem as if he hated Frank Herbert and Dune and was going to destroy the book, but if the Incal is any indication, he's a big fan of Dune. There is clearly a very big overlap between this and Dune, but I think he's doing his own thing, although clearly the Incal is very similar to the Spice and sort of this prize that the whole universe is after and people want to kill, steal, and cheat for it. But the Fool is not Paul, and it's a much more Buddhist look at the hero and the anti-hero, whereas I think with Dune, it's much, much more solidly within a kind of Islamic Christian use of the Messiah trope. But we'll wait and see if this even happens, because this seems like a really crazy project. And Taika was set to do Akira for a long time, and he promised to get to that. So we'll wait and see. But exciting news, and apparently Alejandro is behind this. If it does happen, it'll be a very, very interesting project. Thanks for listening.